Hi, my name is Caitlin Koch, and I interviewed Cameron Mingo from the Bahamas. The Bahamas is a place where a lot of people would love to go on vacation, but Cameron got to live there for 19 years, which I think is pretty awesome, so I decided to interview him. I met Cameron about 2 years ago because he's on the baseball team at Northwestern, and so is my boyfriend. So they got to know each other, so I got to know Cameron through that. As I was interviewing Cameron, I realized that there were a lot of similarities, but there are some pretty big differences between our educational systems. I'm going to highlight one of the biggest ones that I saw. Cameron explained that a long time ago the British took over the Bahamas, so they also took over the educational system as well. When that happened and that all went down, the Bahamas took back their freedom. They didn't want to change their educational system, so they left it. But I'm sure that was really hard for Cameron to come here because there's two different educational systems, America and the Bahamas. So, for instance, we spell color C-O-L-O-R. They spell color C-O-L-O-U-R. And that can be difficult. They also have different things like the metric system is off. For instance, they use kilometers instead of miles like we use. The last thing is that they have a lot of groups. They have a lot of group settings instead of, like in America, we're very individualistic. And if we use groups, we could be seen as cheating. So that was a huge difference. Two things that I will really make sure that I take as I continue in my ministry of teaching is that I will first of all use hands-on activities. I think that's really important, and as I was talking to Cameron, he said that that was very important in his country, but when he goes back, he learns so much more when he has hands-on things to do instead of lectures. So that was a huge thing for him, and he told me that if I were to go and have a small group with people from the Bahamas, I would need to make sure that I would teach about, for instance, about feeding the poor, and then go out and really honestly feed the poor and show a practical way to do that. And that is how he explained is the best way that he can learn, and I think a lot of Americans can learn best that way as well. And the second thing that I will make sure that I do is to be very real with people. He was explaining that in the Bahamas there's a lot of corruption in the government, and the corruption is coming onto the churches, and a lot of people are hypocrites in the church, and so that can be really difficult for people. And I would need to make sure that I was really making sure my words and my actions were lining up the same. That is true for Americans. A lot of times our words are not the same as our actions, and that can create a lot of dysfunction and a lot of mistrust. And so I need to make sure that I'm not a hypocrite in what I say and then what I do. Thank you so much for listening to my interview. Bye.